the secret files of Teletraan 2.
Hello everyone and welcome to the files of Teletraan 2, or from Teletraan 2. I can never get it right.
Oh, you'll get there one day. I believe in you.
It's been a long time to be getting it wrong. Guys, as promised, this is just under the wire, your end of June show. This came as close as it did because we only got enough comics to cover this on Wednesday.
Oh, so, God.
And I'll be curious to see how July plays out.
But
so we have one comic for the main show, and we have one comic for the Patreon. For the main show, of course, it's Transformers 20, and for Patreon, if you stick around, it's Transformers vs. Terminator issue 2.
Yay! So, no, you mean 1, because we haven't done 2 yet. Oh, we haven't done issue 1.
I thought we did 1.
Nope, we haven't done 1 at all.
Then what did I do?
I don't know.
I think I talked about it to myself.
That's the worst thing ever. That's really sad. Did you do a podcast without me? With yourself, without recording?
I remember now, because we were going to hold off until the whole series came out.
Yep.
But otherwise we'd have to have read something else, and we haven't, so that's what you're getting from Patreon, lads.
So will it be just issue 1, because I've only read issue 1?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So this will be very, very professional of us, guys, you can tell.
Yay.
But yeah, and Robo and our wonderful Space Boy, they will be back in the not too distant future.
What's the comic called, Mikey?
The Wonderful Space Boy Show. What's
it called, Mikey?
It's Fear Agent Andy.
Hey, okay, I was just making sure because you forgot last time. That's fine.
Yeah, but they'll be back. But obviously, with the way things are, we're a bit up in the air ourselves because we're following everyone else's schedule. So,
yep.
Anyway, we're going to get straight into this. First up is issue 20, the start of a new arc for Rise of the Decepticons. Written by Brian Rockley, art by Anna Malkova, who I believe is making her official in-story debut. Someone might correct me on that, but I think it was a big deal for Anna getting this one. Colors by Joanna LaFuente, letters by J.M. Wood, edited by David Mariotti, Tom Waltz, and Riley Farmer. I don't know if we've had Riley before.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and the book opens on a rather depressed Prowl looking on a newsfeed by Andromeda, which looks kind of like she's running like a cable news network. That kind of that wonderful biased reporting.
Yes.
Basically, since the tether fell, Sentinel has denounced the Decepticons publicly, and people are rioting against it. The security operations are starting to make moves against the Rise, but the Decepticons are now questioning whether or not they're actually good enough, and questioning whether or not the Autobots should be allowed to do anything. Nightbeat comes in to kind of bring him out of his funk and gets weirdly obsessed with Prowl's pet pterosaur bird thing. So, because this thing keeps crashing on me. Edit that bit out.
Is this Comixology? Because, Comixology does have a tendency to crash.
Prowl basically has taken everything that's happened since the murders very personal. Remember the murders?
How many issues ago were they?
18.
No. How many issues ago were they?
19 for the first one.
Oh god. That was like a year ago or more?
Year and a half now, I'd say.
Oh my god.
We're going to talk about that at the end of this. But,
okay.
Prowl is like, listen, everything's just basically my fault. Nightbeat is trying to cheer him up. They may have a chance to fix things, and they've got someone in custody. Elsewhere, in Icon Xeno Quarter, Hound is assessing the damage to the Aovans, which are a race who seem to have very little in the way of native space. By the sound of it, they may basically just live in this one city. And
hang on a sec. Have we seen these aliens before?
I don't
Do we know
think
anything?
So.
Okay.
No.
Then it's even stranger that they've been put here.
Yeah, but it's basically here to highlight the fact that Hound loves green things.
I guess.
Yeah, so they've lost a tenth of their native species that were in their dome, basically. Hound is, inconsolable, and it doesn't help when Sideswipe shows up and says, "Let me shoot stuff!" And the Hound is like, for fuck's sake, excuse me. He basically says, excuse me, I'm going to eject this individual. Sideswipe is trying to get on to a counter-terrorism team. Novastar doesn't want him. Hound doesn't want him. Basically, go find someone who'll handle you, because I won't. Sideswipe just goes like he wants to do something useful. We all know he just wants to shoot people. We cut to Strongarm and Bumper, who are hanging out with Nightbeat and Prowl as they meet Singe. Prowl takes the bad cop approach. But Strongarm's like, maybe we shouldn't allow police brutality. Haha, topical. But Nightbeat is very like, oh no, he knows what he's doing. He knows what a total line. And I'm just thinking back to Batman in The Dark Knight Returns, where they left him in there with the Joker and he starts beating the shit out of him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. They get information on him, and Bumper and Strongarm are given their next major orders. And Strongarm was like, I've been with this group for a very short time and I keep almost getting killed. Maybe I don't want to be that anymore. We then find out that Lodestar is injured and is being repaired. And Orion wants Lodestar armed and chasing Vigilant. So I don't really know how that plays out. Meanwhile, with the strike team, Sideswipe catches up to them. Basically sort of forces his way in to the team. And Prowl assures Strongarm to keep the faith. Singe's tip-off is that the Rise is working at least partly out of a bar run by Swindle. Or a bar/game joint. He seems to be an energon runner for them, and supplying them with stolen goods. So the prowl is to sneak the inconspicuous and boring Bumper in. Sideswipe will take the roof. Strongarm, Nightbeat, and Prowl will stay in reserve until there's some fighting. Sideswipe is now bored, and Bumper is terrified, and Prowl tells them both to suck it up. Inside Swindle, we meet the man himself, who is running like little mammal races with his cohorts Headlock and Trick Diamond. Surprise. But then Mindwipe, who's a Rise fella, shows up with Visper and is not very happy. They feel they've gotten ripped off. They've gotten Energon off Swindle before. He doesn't have any at the moment, and he's saying like, I couldn't get him, and it's not like I promised it wasn't a one-time gig. I mean, also, my guy's been arrested by the police, and Mindwipe feels like they're trying to make him a bit vampire-y in this.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bumper eventually reports that Swindle is meeting with Mindwipe. Prowl says don't look at him. But, of course, while he's saying this, Bumper has just been staring at him. And he gets mind zapped. Everyone bursts in. Visper transforms and makes a run for it. Mindwipe tells hypnotized Bumper to kill Prowl. They call in Stormcloud to scramble communications. Stormcloud then dives straight through the building's roof, and Sideswipe promptly leaps on him and stuns him. Swindle, Gut Cruncher, and Trick Diamond try to act innocent as Prowl brings them in, but he's not buying it. And Mindwipe and Visper make a getaway. And basically, Mindwipe contacts Shockwave, who seems weirdly furious on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize it was Shockwave at first. And basically, Shockwave, Mindwipe says Stormcloud's going to compromise us. Things seem to be under control. Prowl instructs Strongarm to keep Bumper pinned down until the hypnosis wears off. He confronts Swindle, tells him he's going to throw the book at him, and tells him that you're now going to lead us to where the Rise are, and we're going to find out what you got from cutting a deal with terrorists. And at the Rise headquarters, Six Shock goes into a secure room where Frenzy and Quake, one a definite murderer, one a potential murderer, which I don't think you'd realize if you didn't remember the book from a year ago, where they said that Brainstorm was killed with a drill.
Oh God, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, they basically need to move them to a more secure place. Cybertron's after them and don't give Six Shot any trouble. And that's the end of the issue.
Yeah.
This is the issue for me that really drove home that this book has had very slow pacing.
Very slow.
Because a lot of the stuff in here depends on you remembering stuff that you've read months or, as I said, a year ago. that at the time seemed really, really important.
Mm-hmm. And hasn't been talked about since then, right?
Yeah. Like, part of it, of course, is the fact we haven't had an issue in months.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Because that makes the whole Vigilant thing seem a lot further back than it is narratively. Because this issue was supposed to be out in April.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But, like, the Frenzy and Quake, I remember that that Ratchet said Brainstorm was killed by drills, and then everyone went, oh, it was Frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I'm guessing, don't remember that.
I mean, I don't. I find it like you're really good to have on the show, Mikey, because you remember these small details where it just leaves my brain so quickly. And I don't know if I'm a good representation because my memory's just terrible, but maybe I'm maybe a better representation for the normal person. I don't know. Maybe.
What are you trying to say, Andy?
I'm saying people don't care enough to remember most of the stuff.
And Quake, who murdered a small child.
Yes, I remembered that one at least.
These murders started off the book.
Yes.
Brainstorm's murder was described as an enormous event.
Mm-hmm.
They got sidelined real damn fast after they happened.
Yeah.
And they have, at best, been given token recognition as the book's gone across.
When about was the child, whatever its name was,
Rubble.
Killed? Yeah, Rubble. When was Rubble killed? Was that issue 7? Something like that?
6, I think.
6, okay. So that was
5. Issue 5, because it was at the end of the first arc.
Okay, so that was still a long time ago.
A long time ago, like 15 issues ago.
Yeah.
Which I really feel that this should have had more focus earlier. I've said before, Brian kind of writes like he's writing a novel. And this is one of those issues that highlighted it, because going so many chapters down a book that you're reading a book all in one sitting, or 2 or 3 or 4 sittings or in a week or whatever.
Yeah.
You can get away with this kind of pacing. This isn't so much decompressed as it is drawn out. And that's something I'm starting to have a real big problem with the main book.
Yeah, it's strange because you would have thought that the writing style would change to adapt to the comic. Since, like you say, it's been over a year, but it's still, like you say, very much feels like novel writing.
Because, like, James would do that. James would have little lines or things, and he wouldn't come to them for a year or 2 years. But, there'd be a build-up, little seeds would be laid across the board, and you usually have a reference to see issue ...
Yeah.
Not always, but he was better at it more than Meets Dead than it was in Lost Light, but the groundwork was laid, whereas here I just don't feel that for most readers the level of engagement is enough that they'd remember it.
Yeah.
And to me, it's still very bizarre that these two murders, one which is the first killing you've had in how many years, and 2 of a baby, that these are not given greater focus. Like, I expected this to largely be kind of a procedural police drama from the start.
Yeah,
but then it turned I thought it was going to be a political book, and it hasn't really been. It dipped its toes into action, but not very much.
Has it tried to be Games of... I hate to say it, but has it tried to be a little bit Game of Thronesy? A bit of action, a bit of the political stuff,
but...
a bit of the underhanded stuff? Is that what it's meant to be trying to emulate?
I don't know. But what's kind of driving it home for me is I'm thinking, at this stage, Season 1 of R.I.D. and Morden Meets the Eye,
they've done a lot more. They
had packed in so much story.
Yeah, a lot more.
And so much character development.
And Tallulah won.
Yeah, like Tallulah won in 12 issues.
They hit a lot of shit. A lot.
Like, this is... And they did it in a naturalistic way. Maybe it's just a bias, but even when I read mainstream comics, when I do dig into them, they're better paced than this.
Yeah. Yeah, the Immortal Hulk. I mean, I've only done the one issue of it, but that went... There's quite a decent story in that one issue.
It sets you up with the characters.
Yeah.
Basically, it gives you what you're supposed to expect from the book.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can tell you the main arcs and that has good pacing. You know, I think the current Flash run has very good pacing.
Even though is it Barry or is it Wally?
Barry, but
so you hate it.
Ironically, the best story in it is a Wally story.
Is it, or is it because it's Wally and you're totally biased?
No, it's Flash War. Everyone loves Flash War. Like, people who just said, like, wow, what a really good story. That's more about Wally than it is about Barry.
Ooh.
But I don't hate Barry. I mean, I've never seen Barry on TV because they keep writing him as Wally, but I don't hate Barry.
I'm pretty sure you do hate Barry because he keeps overshadowing Wally all the time.
Dan Didio. Did you see Dan Didio did an article during the week where
I didn't know.
He did an interview and explained why he hates Wally West and Dick Grayson.
Oh my god! Okay, what was the reason? This is totally off topic, but I'm really interested.
They're too tied into their origin stories. Their origin stories are too tied into Batman and the Flash.
What? So they're not good characters because of that?
Yeah, but basically, he doesn't like the legacy idea.
Why? Does he like Damian?
I think he might have helped create Damian. I'm not sure about
how
that
is he not locked into the Batman legacy then?
Because they'll never let him be Batman. Because he's a teenager and will remain that way forever. But Dick grew up, and Wally grew up, and they couldn't be treated as the sidekicks anymore.
So? Isn't that good?
No, because then they're interfering with the legacy now.
How? This doesn't make any sense. Because Nightwing's a good character.
But can I point out, it wasn't just like he's an editor who, okay, he has a problem with these two characters. Okay, fine, you're allowed to dislike someone. He's an editor who had a problem with these two characters and then proceeded to fuck those characters over.
Yeah, you shouldn't do
Rick
that.
Grayson is a nightmare. I've read some Rick Grayson now.
Oh, why?
I wanted to see it was as bad as I like. Was it just the old man in me?
You hang on. You know how you complain at me for watching terrible shows? This is you. You do this but with comics. You cheeky shit. I just wanted to see how bad it was. Well, Andy, why do you watch Gogglebox? Because I want to see how bad people are. Same thing.
Apparently Dick's coming back, though, so that's a good thing.
Right, okay. Proper Dick or just... because is Dan DiDio gone?
He gone.
Yeah, so Dick Grayson has a chance to survive again. Okay.
All of Dan's storylines got shelved as well.
Unless you like them, then that's bad for you.
He started stabbing Rebirth in the back because he didn't like the direction it was going, so I don't care.
Oh, jeez.
The most successful comics reboot they've done, and he started kicking it in the shins. But yeah, so pacing.
yes.
Pacing. I don't like the pacing in this book. I like the Swindle bits. I like how Swindle's written, and I got way too excited about seeing Trick Diamond.
Yeah, it was nice to see it.
I got really excited, and there's some cool, like the crowd scene with loads of familiar faces in them.
Okay.
There's a Nodes there, Pipes, Riptide. And there's it's the one where they're gambling. There's a character. I think this is really nice. There's a character in the bottom who has kind of a wolf head.
Right.
Looks a bit like R.E.D. Steeljaw. This is a character called Sharpclaw, who is a character dreamed up by Nick Roach's daughter.
Oh, that's cute.
She drew it. She came up with the character design. He drew it and put it up on Twitter.
Yeah.
And they stuck her in.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that's really nice. Unfortunately, it means I have to say something nice about something related to Nick, but I have no quarrels with her.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. He's a bastard, but that's Nick.
If people don't know the relationship between you and Nick, you just sound like a complete asshole.
He owes me. I made him immortal, damn it.
That's true, you did.
But yeah, and the story here doesn't really grab me. Because the story, I think the story is about Prowl. I think it is. But it doesn't... I think it kind of is supposed to be about like Prowl doing the cop who couldn't get his man.
Is it about Sideswipe getting to prove himself?
Don't know, because he doesn't.
No? Well, he stands on one of them and captures him. He's the only guy... Prowl doesn't capture anybody. Sideswipe captures and someone improves, he's good enough to be on the team, I suppose.
No.
More so than Bumper.
Yeah, I'm really not feeling this issue. And the more I talk about it, the more I kind of, not annoyed, but off I get with it.
Is it mean to say it still feels very much in terms of the rest of the series? Like, it's not any worse than a lot of them are. It's not as good as some of them are, but it's not any worse than the worst of them. No,
I'll agree with that.
It's just it's just another one, which is kind of disappointing.
It may be approaching the straw on the camel. It might be my issue.
Well, to be fair, it's been over a year, and if the quality's still kind of what we would consider maybe below average, then I think that's not unfair. You know what really annoyed me about this issue? This was the first time that we saw what's her name? Lodestar.
Yeah.
This was the first time that we've seen Lodestar. You remember that epic fight that we saw? Oh wait, no, we didn't see that.
No.
And now we see Lodestar being rebuilt, and it's like that. What? Since we didn't get the big fight scene with her, I would have had them at least repairing her in ship mode, so then you could have the reveal of her robot mode as something special.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems weird to be like, there's Lodestar. That's what she looks like, beaten up and looking shit. There's this cool female giant, the first fortress city kind of Titan scale female robot, and she's had the shit kicked out of her.
Lodestar's a female Titan, and there's been very little fanfare about that.
No, it's weird, right?
I think it's cool, but I want to see, having them as a race is a good thing in my opinion. But
I agreed, and the fact that she had I don't mind if the fans haven't given her any fanfare. That's fine. But I think the team, the people on the comic should have made a not a massive deal about it. But again, when they showed Vigilum transform, they showed him full body shot of him shaking the town. You're like, whoa! And again, like I say, for Lodestar, you get her being repaired after having the shit kicked out. But it's not. Imagine that's how your introduction to Optimus Prime was. It's like you saw him in truck mode, and the first shot you see of him is him dying in the movie, the Transformers movie. He's on the bed dying, and Daniel cries, and you're like, "What? What the hell?" I also liked how hand wavy Prime was. It's like, "Oh, the moon's floating off into space. Wheeljack's probably there. He'll figure it out." I'm like, Prime, what the fuck? I realize that there's a lot of problems on Cybertron at the moment, but you don't want to send a rescue party to the moon? Or anything? Because the moon's meant to be pretty important, right?
Yes, it's a moon.
Yeah. And there's probably one or two people on there. So at the very least, you could probably spare one or two people who could fly.
At the very least, Gears is out there floating in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? I'm sorry, he should have been, that the shot of the moon, one of the rocks should have been Gears. maybe with a bit of string attached to him,
or
his
leg floating just out of his reach.
Oh god. Oh god.
He's just reaching for it.
It's just out of his fingers' reach. It's nearly.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a bigger deal. If you were going to do this issue, because what we haven't had, because think about it, the last issue was RC and Moonracer, was it?
Yes.
They were on the run to try and get off the planet while the tether's falling.
Yes.
And then the issue before that was the tether falls.
Yes.
This is a police procedural.
Yeah.
What if you're going to do a slower paced issue, rather than doing something like this, you can work Swindle into it. Have Swindle's trying to rip off refugees.
I was going to say you'd like a rescue issue of people fixing the city and helping people. So what you're saying is what I'm taking from this is if you take out the Hound page, the two Hound pages, that could have been in this theoretical comic.
Yeah,
because that Hound page doesn't really belong here at all.
No,
all it does is establish that Sideswipe wants to be useful, which you kind of get anyway when he appears with Prowl's team. So it seems a bit redundant to be in there, apart from to set up Hound, who seemingly has nothing to do with this issue and thus doesn't really need to be here.
Yeah. Like, if you wanted to keep the Sideswipe thing in, it could be in there to highlight the fact that Sideswipe is not really in tune with what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to go off and catch criminals, and just like, no.
Yeah, we've got to help. Yeah.
We've lost a lot of people. Like, a very large part of our cities are gone.
Mm-hmm. And then the next issue would make sense to then have the investigation surrounding the falling after the fixing's been completed or started.
You set up Singe and you set up Swindle. You have them in the background, like shady characters who are coming out. Like, oh, you need some Energon? Oh, I could get you some Energon. I know you're in hard times.
Yeah. It would have also been a good issue to build out the riots starting up again, because we get like them talking at the side with the Sentinel shot and Prime talking about the riots kicking off, and those could have been used in that comic as a thing to build that out a bit more, I guess. But if that was the case, if we had that, would we not be thinking, why isn't the main story getting pushed? Is that not a problem that we've complained about ourselves? And our suggestion would just add to it.
Maybe, but it would make more sense than this.
Yeah. No, yeah. I was trying to play devil's advocate as best as I could.
Because, like, I don't mind if the main story gets delayed. It's just, we're 2 years in, and Decepticons is a term that Sentinel is throwing around.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. I've never liked this idea that Decepticons is an appropriated term. That Megatron took it and said, oh, we're going to make it our own. Like, it worked way back when Optimus was saying the alien races, they call us Autobots, we're atomic. We're automatons. Yeah. And I'm going to take that name and I'm going to make it something else. We're autonomous, where we make our own decisions. Decepticons, because we are being deceived and all that jazz. Like, I get the idea, and this book isn't the first one to trot that out, but I'm not crazy about it.
No.
What do you think of the art in this one? Like I said, Anna's, either Anna's done cover work, or this is like her first comic art altogether. But I remember seeing her Twitter, and she was super excited about this. Yeah, she's done like some cover arts before, but this is her first full-in comic.
I like the facial expressions. And I like some of the Transformer bodies, but other ones, specifically like Sideswipe, is very bland, I suppose, in terms of how he looks, in terms of his silhouette and stuff. But I do like all the facial expressions. They've got some decent emotion in them for the most part. What about you? What do you like?
Yeah, I like it. The style's a little soft for my taste, but
I can see that.
A lot of kind of the more modern art is.
It's at least it's consistent in this book, and it's not jumping between multiple styles.
No, I think like this book has come on in leaps and bounds from where it started artistically. And I think Anna's quite good. I think she's very, very competent and very she definitely has that expressiveness down.
Yeah.
It's just some of her stuff is just not quite my style, but that's not a criticism on her work.
Yeah.
I think she overall has done a good job. She was supposed to be a guest at
TF Nation.
TF Nation, yeah. That's a unfortunate screwing over, but yeah, the art's solid, and Joanna's doing colors, so we know it's going to be pretty.
Oh, it's pretty, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't really have much else to say. I'm just kind of underwhelmed, but because of how many times I've been underwhelmed, I'm getting kind of aggressive about it.
No, I can understand that, because when they showed Frenzy, I was like, why is it... Until you mentioned... In all honesty, until you mentioned it, I just thought it was weird that Frenzy was hanging out with not Overlord.
Quake. That would
Quake,
be different. What did that have been? Quake and Overlord in a cell together. Frenzy and Overlord in a cell together.
That would have been different. That would have been like, what? Moment.
Because since it's not original IDW one, I'll just hear the Titans Return version.
Oh no!
Which is the Foghorn Leghorn one.
That's right, yeah.
So every line goes like, "Well, Quake, I do declare that you are ready to murder some boys, are you not?" Just like, oh god. And people are going to say that's a bad impression of a Southern dandy. I'm going to say so was Overlord.
Yeah, it was. That was not great. Like I say, I thought Frenzy was just hanging out with Quake for whatever reason. Like they were just room buddies.
just pals.
Yeah, well, I thought, a Decepticon base probably doesn't have a huge amount of rooms for people to have their own place to hang, so it's like, well, gotta have a bunk buddy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It didn't hit me as it should have, that ending.
Yeah. Side note, I'm now looking at the Titan Return Overlord captured on TF Wiki.
Oh, okay, why?
Because I was just I wanted to know what it was, and it is a long Foghorn Leghorn quote.
Excellent.
I think I remember this actual cartoon as well.
Ah, sweet.
When he was talking to the chicken hawk.
To be fair, that was a lot of his episodes. He was either talking to Chicken Hawk or the dog.
Yeah, Foghorn was a dick.
Oh, 100%. To be fair, a lot of the Warner Brother characters are assholes. A lot of them.
True.
That's why they're funny.
Yeah, so what's your rating for this one?
I do like the artwork. The story left me cold, as it usually does, so probably a 4. Below average. If you go lower, it's fine, because it sounds like you're getting annoyed.
I'm not going to go lower. I'm going to go higher, because I think this is now the average. This is the average of what this book hits.
That's not an unfair way to do it.
So I'm going to go with a 5. I think Anna's art is like a 7 or an 8.
Yeah.
I'm being objective, and then I'd love to see her do more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the story is just not grabbing me, and it's annoying because I know Brian can write well. Like, I've read other stuff. I've read some of his books now, and like the guy can write, and I just feel like something about this story or the medium or some higher up word, like
it has to be the medium, right? It has to be.
Unless like David Mariotti's just coming in and saying like, no, we don't want this story. We want you to drag it out as long as possible.
God, that'd be terrible.
He's relatively new as an editor, so God only knows.
That could be terrible if that was the case. Someone deliberately said, no, slow the story down. It's going too fast.
I would have said it was the editor-in-chief.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the editor-in-chief is like telling him, no, tell the story like this. Except I know who the editor-in-chief is.
Yeah.
And he's probably like sitting there like, but you could have referenced this. And this, and this, and this. I have a wall. Have you seen the wall? We asked you to take that down, sir. The wall will never come down. Everything will matter.
Oh, no.
Continuity is Lord. John Barber slowly rocking backwards and forward in his chair.
Hell yeah.
I like it. Hell yeah, he's broken. John, if you're listening, we love you. But yeah. I don't. This is not a criticism on the people involved. It's kind of like referencing again. Kind of like Combiner Wars. Like, I know talented people were involved in Combiner Wars. They just somehow came together to make that.
Yeah, well, even talented people can make something bad. Yeah,
and I'm starting to get that vibe right now. It's just like, this is a case of talented people where it is just not jiving.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I listen to Brian's podcast on wildlife, and it's an excellent podcast. Wild Episode, if anyone hasn't heard it. Like, he scripts it all out. It's very well written, very well delivered. And I want to see that here. Like, because it's not an energetic podcast, it's a low key one, but the you can feel the creative juices. I don't feel them here.
Oh, that's a shame.
Anyway, so a 4 and a 5. Not exactly ripping it.
No, not really. Though we may just be aggressively harsh compared to the reviewers. I don't know.
Don't know. I honestly haven't read a lot of reviews for this book in the last year. And I've been purposely, because I used to read a lot, and I think it sort of made me a bit... I'd get overprotective of issues I liked.
That's okay. Yeah, I could see that.
So, but yeah. So this is it. This is issue 20. We'll see what happens in 21. And yeah, guys, that's the end of the main show. Like, it's a short one, and if I hadn't gone off on a DC tangent there, it would have been an even shorter one.
But there's very little to talk about.
Yes. Hopefully next month we'll have at least Transformers and Galaxies. I believe the Galaxy solicitations are out.
Who's the Galaxy on again?
I believe it is RC and RC and Greenlight, I think the kid is.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Alex is doing it, isn't he? He's doing the artwork.
Yeah,
I
don't know who's writing that one though, off the top of my head.
It's gonna be pretty. So
yeah, well, I mean, it'll be Alex.
Okay.
People can interpret that however they like.
Mm-hmm.
Far away.
Let the ire be brought onto Mikey's shores. You know what you do. You know the whirlwind that you reap.
I keep everyone's life interesting.
Right, so I accidentally deleted the end of the podcast here because it's been a while and I clearly forgot to put up the free show, but we're doing it today, lads and ladies. So, yeah, luckily, nothing was really missed. The only thing you missed is Mikey waffling more. And no one wants that. No one wants that. So, thank you guys for listening to the podcast. It has eventually came out. Woohoo! But if you want to head over to patreon.com/moonbase2 and do $2 each month, you're guaranteed to get the podcast each month and get it completely, uncut with the extra stuff that we talk about. You also get the Moonbase Woo-Woo, where we talk about non-transformery things in more depth. And you can also head over to ccbunker.weebly.com if you want to get any other way to connect and get the podcast or, send messages that way. I did get a message on Weebly. Was it Weebly? It might not have been Weebly. I've got a message and it came in just as we finished recording this week's Moonbase 2. This week's Moonbase 2 was the one that was on... Jesus. Calendar, please open. Calendar, please open. Calendar, please. The one that came out on the 20th. So that question will be answered next week, which will be on the 27th, if you wondered where that was. Also, you can head over to find out more of my stuff, which is on Twitter, it's CCTFW. On YouTube, it's Cobra Commander TFW. You can find this podcast on the Moonbase 2 forums, on Facebook, on Libsyn, on iTunes, I think. Most of the places, from what I'm told. And you can go on to the YouTube page, which is Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast, because that's how we got to do the do's, apparently. So, yes, thank you guys for being patient. Sorry for flummoxing it up. I made a big old boo-boo. I made a big old stinky in my underpants. But now that's sorted. Thank you guys, and I'm sure Mikey would send you kind regards as well if he had a human soul. So until next time, everybody, I will catch you, and we will catch you, because, Mikey's somewhere too, on the next From the Files, which will be recorded, I assume, sometimes this month, because there are actually comics to talk about. So, but yeah, bye-bye! Ah!